We want to welcome you back to All Things Real Estate. Once again, your hosts, Gary Kelly and Brad Aragon.
So Brad's talking about living in a house while a renovation is being done and how that can be an issue.
Yeah, so I had done that myself. My wife and I did it, and it was challenging. We had our adult daughter living with us at the time. It was challenging, but we got through it. But with little kids, not only is it frustrating and difficult, but it can be dangerous. And so, but on top of that, there's the financial aspect of it. You were talking about this before. You have a client that's looking at properties that they can renovate and do additions to. Additions cost a lot of money now. They not that they didn't cost money before, but the cost of doing an addition often exceeds what people think it's going to be. And so one of the things that I encouraged a client recently to do who came to me looking for a renovation loan was I said, listen, go through the exercise, find out, get it, whatever it costs you to design this addition, a couple of grand, whatever it is, design it, have it priced out with a builder, an architect and a builder, and figure out if it's better for you to renovate your existing home or to move. And they hadn't thought of that. So they did exactly what I said. They went through.
Love it or list it?
Huh?
Love it or list it?
Love it or list it. But they didn't renovate the property. They did the cost analysis, and they came back and they said, you know what, Brad, you were right. And then there was an agent that they knew they wanted to work with, that they had gotten an opinion, or they were getting an opinion on the sale of their house. I said they knew somebody, maybe somebody they bought their house through. They got the opinion on the sale of their house as is, and then what they would net, and then we applied that in, again, a theoretical equation. What could they afford? And they ended up figuring out that it was better for them and for their kids and everything to be able to do that. And so that's what they did. They were able to list their home subject to finding a new one, and found another property, put an offer on it, and the transition dovetailed together, and it worked well. But that's an exercise that a lot of people have to go through sometimes, because sometimes it's better to move than it is to try to add on, because you're not going to get that value back immediately. You're also going to be, kind of out of sorts for a while, depending on the renovation while it's going on. Or in many cases, you have to move out of the house. The house is unoccupiable. They rip out the kitchens and the baths, and they're,
I think I've talked about it before. Sue has a property in Maine, and there was a flood in the place, or a water intrusion. I shouldn't say flood from an insurance perspective, water intrusion. And because of that, we had to have a lot of work done in the house. Floors replaced, mold on walls were taken out, that kind of thing. And the contractor, who subsequently we believe is actually brilliant, took the toilets out of the house. Said, sorry, you can't stay in the house. Now, did she need to take the toilets out of the house? Yeah, I don't think so. But that's what she did. So it's always an interesting thing.
Yeah.
So when your kids come to you and say, I want to add on, I want to do this, I want to take the garage and make it livable space, what do you say to them, Brad?
I say to them, let's do an exercise, kids. They're used to that with me anyway, because I'm always kind of thinking in that kind of looking ahead and then looking backwards on it, seeing if it was a good move. So I say, let's do an exercise. Let's figure out, is it a good move or is it not a good move? And we go through it, similar to what I put those clients through. I do that with, I love exercises, right? I tell you about the one I do with my first time home buyers. Like, they're saying, yeah, we can afford this. Okay, well, let's do that now. Before you find the house, let's go through that exercise, and you start paying that monthly bill into your savings account, but moving that money aside so they get used to it. I do the same thing with renovation thing. Well, let's look at what would that cost you? Are you going to be, this is what it's going to cost you. This is what the finances are going to cost you. How are you going to feel about that? And by the way, is it a good investment? Are you going to make your money back? Or for all of this stuff that you're going to go through, is it better for you to sell your house now and go find another house that's already up, that has that square footage?
Right.
A lot of times it's neighborhoods, Gary, too. That's the other thing. People want to stay in a neighborhood, especially if they've, like you mentioned, you had your first home in Westboro. So I would imagine that it's easier when you're in Westboro, if you have kids, your kids have friends in Westboro, it's easier to stay in Westboro, and that becomes a thing. I know when we moved, we used to live in Marlboro. We had a beautiful home in Marlboro. I loved my house in Marlboro. But it came time for the school system, and at the time, Marlboro didn't have a great school system, and we made a decision. I did the math: private school and staying in Marlboro, or moving to Westboro, where the public school system was a little better, and the math worked. And I said, okay, let's look at Westboro, and that's what
Right.
drove us.
I mean, that's one of the things that we struggle with. We meet with people, first time buyers, and they're willing to make compromises on school system. And I say to them, listen, I don't know what your plans are. I don't care what your plans are because I'm not supposed to make those inquiries. But if school systems are important to you, remember that school systems often impact the value of a home. Good school systems help keep home values up. And that, I think, is important to people. I can put people in a very low cost per square foot, but the school system may not be as stellar as Westboro, as an example.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, it has to do with the phase of life they're in. If you're in but you're right, school systems hold up values. But if you're in a phase of life, like let's say you're just starting out and you're having your first child, or you haven't even had your child yet, and you say, well, the average person typically move. This is again on average. It's not a rule. There's no law, but the average person moves every 5 to 7 years. That's what they.
Oh, I think it's now 10 years.
It may have been pushed out, but it was 5 to 7.
I think COVID and all that stuff, people are staying in their houses longer.
Yeah, probably. But even but if you're in that phase and you say, listen, we'll go into this house for phase 1, but when the kids go to school, we'll reevaluate then. That's one thought. But the idea is if you can get in a good town, as you've indicated, that has a good school system, then and the house has room to grow in, enough to have 1 or 2 kids, maybe that's a good start. That's something that gets factored into the equation.
I like towns that have a nice sense of community. For example, I know you live in Westboro, and Westboro has the community Thanksgiving on Thanksgiving Day, which is coming up the end of this month. Why don't you talk a little bit about that in the last couple minutes of the show?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So this is a tradition that Westboro has done for so many years, and I'm so proud and honored to be part of it. It is done at the Knights of Columbus,
which for viewers, it just happens to be the hall. It's not anything to do with religion and all that.
Right. It has nothing to do with religion. All religions, denominations, races, everybody is welcome.
All the food groups are welcome.
What is that?
All the food groups are welcome.
All the food groups are welcome. So what they do is they get a whole bunch of turkeys that are donated by a lot of local supermarkets and such, and all the fixings, just anything you can think of at Thanksgiving, it's there, right? Cranberry sauce, stuffing, all that stuff. Anyway. And what they do is a bunch of volunteers get together the night before and the day of, and they cook up all these turkeys and these mashed potatoes. And I said stuffing. There is no stuffing. Mashed potatoes, squash, and such. And they cook them all up, and they serve it to folks that may not have a place to go, may not have or have the wherewithal to purchase a Thanksgiving dinner. They come, there's pies, it's welcoming, and people sit together, right? And there's facilitators that facilitate conversation. It's really wonderful. It's wonderful. I don't know if they're still doing it. They used to, if people couldn't get out of their homes, they used to deliver the meals. I
think that in Westboro, I think the senior center does the delivery stuff. Not related to this, but they do a delivery program.
They're doing the delivery now. In the past, that's the way I started this, is with my kids. I would bring them Thanksgiving morning. We would go and we'd pick up these boxes and we would deliver them to people. The kids would go and carry them in, and we'd talk to some of the folks and such. But now I go and cook up, the turkeys and the squash, and it's a bunch of really nice volunteers. We get together. Everybody really enjoys doing it, and I encourage anybody that if you know somebody that's has no place to go specifically, I really encourage them to look into this and to sign up for it. Gary, give them the website. Is it the Friends of Westboro? What is it? Where they can get the information? Do you know? It's nice. Columbus will have it, but
I don't know about
Contact
that.
me if you're not sure. Contact me. I know my phone number's up there. Contact me, and I will via email or phone, and I promise you, I will get it to you. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. You should sign up in advance so that they've got enough, places for everybody. But it's great. There's pies and
So the last few years, I've been a greeter at the door, which is basically making sure that only people that are signed up can get in. Which, as a practical matter, we're not turning people away. It's like, come on, we're not going to do that. So it's just a very, very nice event, and you've been doing it for years, and I think that's just wonderful.
Thanks. I love it. It's my honor. I get excited every year. The only person my wife has rules. You've got to be home by this time.
Right. I've got the same thing. I've got to skedaddle at the end of it, but I want to do it. I think it's important. I think it's fun. I think it's good for the community, and it's certainly nice for the people. And Thanksgiving is a wonderful time of year. So, Brad, for you, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I appreciate you letting me bother you to do these videos and do the recording and all that stuff.
It's my pleasure. We all have so much to be thankful for.
Well, what are you thankful for?
Oh my gosh! You going to do another show? I can go on for an hour here.
No, we're out of time.
I'm thankful for friends like you and Sue. I'm thankful for the people that support my business. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful for my health. There's so many wonderful things, but it's a great time to give pause and to appreciate all that we have. Because
I think that's a key thing. Give pause. Think about what you have to be thankful for. The world's not coming to an end, and this is a good time. Absolutely. So, Brad, thank you. Thanks to our viewers and listeners.
Thank you for watching All Things Real Estate. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to Brad or Gary.